mental health, parenting, and relationship. Just to give you a little snapshot of today, this panel will be focusing on different aspects of relationships. We have Marie, who's new to the relationship aspect. She's newlywed. She's also a teacher. And we have Clavedia, who's our social worker, who's been on all of our live. We have her husband, Derek Mitchell, who's on also. Who's also a newlywed, and he'll be talking about, and they're also parents. So they'll also be talking about relationships and parenting and the whole house. We have my own husband on there. All of us will be talking about relationship and parenting. We are both essential workers. So we're going to focus on the fact that now that we're essential workers and we're still working throughout the whole pandemic, how has that affected our relationships and our parenting skills? So everybody's going to bring a different view. So please share the live with everyone. Please bring your questions. Come with your questions. We can't wait to hear them. And I'm going to pass on to Clavedia, who's going to start the whole meeting to let us know. So take us off.
Hi, everyone. So as Cherline said, my name is Clavedia Charles. This is our fourth meeting that we are doing. And I'm very happy that we're here together to share this important topic because, as you all know, mental health is a huge part in parenting and relationships and how people can assist with themselves with, self-care and also help our partners going through what we're also going through with the COVID-19 and now with the police brutality was going on, with the protests. So there's a lot of stuff that's going on. And as parents and as husbands and wife, we have to be there to support each other, to help each other on how to get through this. And I'm very excited that we have Marie here, who's a newlywed, Jean and Cherline, who've been together for 3 or 4 years, and myself and Darius, my husband, who also are newlyweds, and Cherline, parents. So is myself and Darius. So we're gonna kick off with Cherline and Jean. And please excuse me for 3 or 4 years, and myself and Darius, my husband, who's also, to read what the comments are, people are saying, and also to read my notes. So if you see my head going down, please excuse me while I continue to focus on what I wrote down. So mental health, how is mental health? It's related with parenting and relationship, right? So when you become a parent, especially a mom, people do suffer from postpartum, which is like they call it the blues phase. And sometimes it could be a phase, sometimes it's not a phase. It leads up to depression, where you're not interacting with your child, where you're not interacting with your husband, where you try to be as isolated. And due to postpartum depression, some women who unfortunately do experience this, they're not providing attachment with the child. So when that attachment, which all newborns need, the skin-to-skin attachment, which is very specifically show that when you have skin-to-skin contact, it helps your the neurons and the brain cells to grow. So it's so important to have skin-to-skin contact. Sometimes when you do have postpartum, so a lot of the parents won't pick the child up when they're crying because they're suffering with the depression, or, I don't like to say blues phase because we don't know if it's a phase. You never know if this is just because they have a baby and then they just have postpartum. Sometimes it can lead up, they already have depression, or it could become to major depression. It can lead up to a lot of weight, a lot of diagnosis later on down the line. And with that, it could also trickle with the father, who also could suffer from depression. So now a household full of 2 parents who have depression and the child is not getting taken care of. And then that trickles down to getting CPS involved. So how could a lot of parents come together who do suffer from mental health when it comes out to having a newborn, who's new to parenting, who don't know how to feel to be a parent, and they're just starting to become parents? How do we help those people? What do we say to ourselves? So I'm gonna kick this conversation off to Cherline to discuss about her parenting skills, because she does have two wonderful two twin girls, Lonnie and Lola, who are very active. And they're both working parents. Cherline's a nurse, and Jean work in the hospital. And because of COVID-19, they're continuing to be surrounded with COVID patients, and they got to come home, and then they have to worry about passing anything that they bring to the hospital to their kids. So I definitely want to hear from Cherline and Jean. Let's first start with Cherline to discuss about working in an environment that is full of COVID and then coming home to your two kids, and how does it affect their mental health?
To start, that is my honest to God biggest worry, is the fact that I may bring something back to my children. And we have come to a routine, myself and my husband and our children. They know that when I come home, nobody can come near me. My daughter uses the word dirty. Mommy's dirty, don't come close to mommy. So they know not to come near me until after I take a shower and I sanitize my phone or anything else that I come in the house with, that I sanitize before they even come near me to give me a hug, to ask me how my day was. They don't even talk to me until after I take a shower. It's not bad. They keep about 6 feet from me on the way when they see me walk in the door coming home from work. And they do the same with my husband, their father. And they sometimes used to sleep in our bed with us during the day, we cuddle, like they like to do. We try to stop that as well, because it's the whole aspect of, I don't know, it's hard not to keep that relationship that you have with your child, that you're always hugging up on them, kissing up on them. And the whole aspect of mental health in this pandemic is that you can have this disease and not know, or you could not know with it, no symptoms for 14 days. Within those 14 days, you could be transmitting it to your family members. And that's the hardest part, not knowing and not being able to have that close relationship that you normally have with your children, and even with your loved ones. That's the hardest for me.
That's definitely something that it's very worrying. But I'm gonna save the questions till the end. I just want everybody to get a chance to talk. So if Jean could please explain his experience on being in the hospital and coming home with your kids, and how mental health will affect you due to the process of COVID.
Well, so far, we've been truly blessed that God has been able to protect us during this pandemic. Unfortunately, it's been hard, especially, dealing with two active twins that are usually, out and about. Usually they spend time with, mommy or daddy, going out to places or sightseeing or go to the park, whatever it may be. So unfortunately, during this pandemic, it's really been hard, not only on us, but it's really been hard on the kids, because certain things, things that they used to maneuver, their schedule has completely turned 360. So in so many ways, it's not about myself. It's about the kids, make sure, number one, that they are protected at all times. Because God forbid, working in a hospital, I could be a carrier, and then, they come home and, for some reason they end up, with symptoms. So seen so many people, loved ones, people that I know, colleagues, gone, through certain situations. So, we've been able, number one, I've been fortunate to be prepared before it got to worst case scenario. So in so many ways, still been able to talk to children about, hey, ask them, do you know why, your schedules has been changed. You know why you stay at home most of the time. You know why, you can't be around people that you usually would be around with. And for the most part, they've gotten it. There are times, where their feelings are put to place, and you just gotta, start back and just say, hey, remember, we had this conversation, and hopefully, we could just have dialogues of how they feel. And basically, to this day, we've been truly blessed that, that number one, that we wasn't affected, and our children understand what's going on.
Okay, so that's good. The fact that you guys were able to talk to your kids. Darius, you currently work at in facility as a security guard, and you are also can be exposed to COVID-19. Handle the fact that you may be exposed to COVID-19 and you have a girl and a boy, Amelia and Mari. How do you handle it, the big possibility of bringing it home to your kids?
It's been really stressful on me. And the reason why it's been stressful on me because, when this whole pandemic started, there was a lot of people at my job sick with the disease. And basically they was just passing it. The building was they was just passing the virus around to certain people in there. I thank God I never contacted the disease, and basically with bringing it home to my kids, that's the most scariest thing to me, because when I get home, basically they run to me no matter, my little daughter, she runs to me, my son, he wants to play. I tell him I can't play right now, which hurts me is I can't play because I gotta, take a shower. I can't hug him. I can't kiss him because I gotta go take a shower, wash my hands and things like that. But it's been really stressful with me being a security worker, and I basically open the door to people, a lot of these people. And to be honest, 90% of the time I feel like I can catch it.
Okay, so I hear that it definitely impacts your mental health and that. But how does it help? What can you do that can help yourself when you positive do for yourself to help coping your, what's the word I'm looking for coping your anxiousness? Anxiety. Thank you.
Basically, keeping myself clean, coming home, doing the proper thing, washing my hands, taking a shower, and this will help them,
Yeah, well, thank you so much for answering the question. Marie, you are newlywed. You've been quarantined with your husband. How is that going in your relationship?
My husband is an essential worker. He works for the FedEx department. So there's a lot of things that we have had to kind of have routines because he's in contact with hundreds of people in their houses every single day. So it's been different. But we've learned to kind of just have a routine. He gets home, the first thing he does, or if he's home, we go out, the first thing we do is he goes to the shower, we wash our hands, we make sure that we're very careful because, anything can happen. And honestly, for me, with what he does, and my mom is actually here, you can ask him the question. He just doesn't have his face up. But it's very worrisome. I was very worried at first because of what he does. And I would constantly find myself just because when he gets home, he just goes to sleep because he's tired. And I would get times where, I worry and I would just sit there and I would pray because you honestly don't know what can happen, especially when you're in contact with so many people. And in the beginning of this, a lot of protocols weren't put into place. So it was very difficult. And even for me, it really came very close because even with my students as a teacher, a couple of them had the virus and they were out of the country. And when they came back, we were very worried about what could happen. So as a family for us too, we just had to be very careful. And we just had to really keep in prayer because you never know. And you can be very scared.
So being quarantined with each other, Marie, how is your relationship? Because being in quarantine, you gotta be with each other all the damn time. And sometimes people just go lose it, like being with that one person.
Yeah.
So how do you handle that?
I must admit, I lost it a couple times, simple things. You learn a lot about somebody. Yes, you're married, you're together, but at this point, you're together for a long period of time. So you're basically learning a lot more about the person that you're with, about your relationships, what you like, what you dislike, the little antics. I used to tell my husband, I think when he goes to work, in his mind, he's thinking of how can I get her today? What can I do to get her today? Because, you learn a lot of things about the person you're with, and it's been an adventure. It has a lot of patience, for each other, but we definitely learned a lot about each other.
Jean, I would like to ask you, what has this effect of the COVID-19 affecting your relationship, being the fact that you guys, does this COVID-19 quarantine affect your relationship with Shelly, being in the house with her, or does it not?
Not really. It really doesn't affect me. Maybe you could ask her, but not really on my point of view. Because ever since, because as you started to hear in the news how, different countries was being affected, then when it hit the United States, then you started to realize, hey, how close does it get to go, how close it gets to, for us to get closer to on our background. Now, as far as, quarantine life, there's no quarantine life for me because I still am an essential worker and I still have to wake up, put on my scrubs, and do whatever necessary to make sure that, the patient that we serve is well taken care of. And when the job is over, you have to quarantine yourself in a safe space where it's not conflicted with anybody else that we share, where we share, especially with the kids. That means, to bring an extra clothes to work and, take a shower there and bring on your fresh clothes because, you still have dealing with, young kids. So they still at times, whether or not they understand it, but it's like they don't accept it, they don't agree with it. So in so many ways, you have to be a couple steps ahead, that type of way.
Okay. Cherline, as a mother and as a wife, you have two big responsibilities as well as taking care of yourself. How do you manage to juggle all three being in the house, cooking, cleaning, schoolwork, because you have to do schooling with them, because now the school's online. So how do you juggle? How do you make sure your mental health is intact while you're doing all three, being a wife, taking care of your kids, and taking care of yourself?
That's a really good question, because I sometimes have to think about how I am going to do that. Being a mother comes natural. My kids, they need something, I do it. I always put them before my own anything, technically. My husband works a lot, especially with this pandemic. He's been working a whole lot more. Myself, my schedule has changed, and that requires me to kind of reschedule my whole entire life around, obviously, my job schedule. But as a mother and having my children and being able to still step in and do everything I need to do while trying to quarantine myself in a sense, it's very hard, because I find that I'm not doing the part that takes care of Cherline. Cherline gets left behind because I'm giving everyone else what they need, but Cherline is not necessarily getting what Cherline needs, because I'm putting everyone else's needs first. I'm being honest here. But, I try to do it around maybe after I put the kids to bed. Just sitting on my bed, watching a video on my computer, on my phone, or something, that little 15, 20 minutes that I give myself before I fall asleep, that's all it is for me. That's all Cherline. That's all about Cherline.
Okay, Darius, with you working tremendously to take care of your kids and your family, how does this affect you? How does being a father and being a husband affects you? And especially, how does it affect your relationship? Because you're working every day and you're doing overtime now because you're trying to do so much for your family. How does the weight affect you as well as your relationship?
I don't think it affects me. I do think that, me working all these hours and then coming home, it affects my wife, which, is you. But yes, it does not affect me. Only thing is that if one of my kids, son, daughter, or my wife ends up with a cough or something like that, they basically blame it on me because I'm out more.
Well, okay.
Yes, it does. Yeah, I don't think it affects my relationship. The relationship is still goes strong. Me being out, all the times of night. Yes, it does. You want to be home with your family, but when you just want to work, or when you have to work, you basically are out there.
Okay. Darius, how do you feel as a newlywed? What is your thought on maintaining a good marriage?
Well, it has its ups and downs. And the reason why I say it has its ups and downs because when in our relationship, basically you would think basically from in a relationship everything goes good. And then you would think that no, everything is bad, probably basically, in your relationship. So when you first go into a marriage, you think things are going to change. They don't.
Okay. Jean and Shayla, you guys, how long you guys been married?
I'd like Jean to answer that question.
I would say we're going on seven years now.
Okay, so you say you're going on 7 years. Could you please tell those who are newlyweds and who are coming into it, how does it feel to be in a relationship for 7 years with the same person? I don't know what's, behind closed doors, what's going on, but how does it feel to be in a 7-year relationship?
Well,
Same, is it? Rocky.
We've been married for 7 years, but we've been together 13 years. So, just like Darius says, it has ups and downs. It's a matter of understanding and learning that you can't always have your way. It's a give and take, and communication, and that's really all that it's about for me.
Okay. Marie, same question. How has being a newlywed, how is it?
Wait, repeat the question.
How is it being a newlywed?
Being a newlywed, it's nice. We're still in our honeymoon phase. We've been together for a while, so I know him. But it's different, when you're married and you live with a person all the time. So it's different.
Is that him behind you?
Yeah.
Sir, could you introduce yourself?
Hi, I am me. How you guys doing?
What's your name, sir?
It's Manwash.
Hello, Manwash. Would you like to tell the viewers how it is to be a newlywed?
No, it's okay. It's really not what most people make it feel like it is. Of course, like brother said earlier, it has ups and downs, but at the end of the day, if you're willing to make it work, it will work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you. Thank you for stopping by. Okay. So I want to, Cherline, how long is the time? Are we still on time? Or time is good? Okay.
Relationship, I just wanted to add something. Most people seem to think that, you hear it everywhere that marriage is just because. And I'm so grateful because before this panel started live, we had a conversation with a couple of newlyweds and myself and a couple of other people who are also married. And they said that it's okay for you to go into a relationship, bring in your list of things that you want. People think it's rude, or you have too high of demands, or your bar is too high or something. It's okay for you to go into a relationship and say, you know what? Like my friend had said, It's okay for you to go into a relationship and say, what's your credit score? What's your family history of any diseases? What is your 10-year plan? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? What is your main goal? Like what is your goal? Does your goal match the goal that I want for my life? These are the questions that you want to ask. People are in a relationship for years and don't even know what the other person really want to be in life, or what they want, what their goal is, what their end result is. And then you wonder why you're in a 6-year relationship and you don't feel like this relationship is going anywhere. It's because you never discussed the goals. You just technically enjoying each other's company, but there's no destination. You're not trying to reach for anything. So it's okay to come with a list of things that you want and make your demands. I don't like to use the word demand, but just let it be heard. This is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. That way, off the bat, we all know what we're dealing with and what to expect in this relationship. Yes, things change because people change, but at least you have a guide of what to expect.
I think that's a great thing to say. If I could add something, I would just like, a lot of times when you make a plan, a lot of people says you can't plan out certain things, but it's important to have a guideline, and it's okay to plan things. You say you're married, hey, I want to do this within this period of time. I want to achieve this between this period of time, because it's important for your partner to know where your head is at and for you to know where he's at. So you guys have an understanding, you know what's going on. You're not blindsided by anything. And it's okay to have plans. It's okay to know what you're going to do, because if something doesn't pan out, hey, you know what, this didn't happen, but I can still do this, this, and this. And you guys are still going to be on the same page.
Okay. So guys, what is your thought on foundation? Do you feel like if you don't have foundation, you guys shouldn't be together, or you guys not meant to be if you guys don't have a set foundation together? Gene?
Well, just like every house, there's always a blueprint. So based on communication and having the wisdom of talking to not only family, friends, at times we could easily sit here and we could listen to what family members have to say or friends have to say, but what do we really say? You know, what do we want our relationship to be? So most of the time, a lot of people use the word marriage as a way like, oh, it's the end of the road. You know, it's like basically this is what happens before you die type of thing. So in so many ways, you know, every house is built on the foundation of, you know, communication, understanding, and accepting faults, but at the same time overseeing, you know, balancing out, you know, what needs to be fixed. And I know so many ways, you know, we could sit here and we could plan out things and for the time period, like the lady says, you know, but what happens when things hit the fan as of the moment, you know, just as, you know, the pandemic, you know, nobody was expecting certain things to play, you know. Sometimes, you know, one thing that this pandemic taught us was, you know, that most of the time, like, you know, my wife would say, you know, I'm constantly working. I'm killing myself, not being home, not being around her, not being around the children. So this pandemic really made me kind of, you know, distance myself, not only socially, but, you know, distance myself in a way that, hey, you know, I'm killing myself, but what's the point? You know, what am I getting if I'm losing what's really most important? You know, I'm sitting here building foundation out, but I'm not really building anything inside the walls. So most of the time, you know, that's one thing that, you know, people would, you know, it's not a death sentence. It's basically mostly, you know, based on communication.
Okay. Darius, you have 2 kids. You are a newlywed, but you've been with your wife for 9 years, but you recently are married. How does it affect your relationship with kids? Because when you guys, in general, when you have kids, when you in a relationship and that spice in the beginning of the relationship is new, so you got that new relationship syndrome where y'all like all over Facebook, where y'all together all the time, y'all going on dates, you're doing this, you're buying this, da, da, da. That spark in the beginning is always there. But when kids get involved, sometimes that spark go away because now instead of paying attention to your wife or, you know, to your mate, you have to pay attention to the kids because the kids come and they got to get the love, attention, affection. Now, Darius, my question to you is, how do you juggle with the kids and, you know, making sure your wife is good as well?
Well, I'm not a good juggler, and I want to be honest. I'm definitely not a good juggler. When I had my kids, both of my kids, basically the attention level was more to them than my own wife. And still to this day, it's, you know, like it plays a big factor. You know, having kids plays a big factor. We just had a daughter. Basically, she sleeps in the bed with us every day. So for me and my wife to be intimate, we're not like that anymore. But it does play a big part. Me having my kids, it does play a big part.
Okay, and Shelly, what about you being a wife? how does your kids, because your kids are the center of your relationship as well, how do you make sure that you maintain your relationship with your husband and not focus only on your kids?
That's actually very hard to do, believe it or not, because the way I personally see it, I want to speak for every single mother. These kids are the one true love. They love you unconditionally, and the love that you get from them, you can't even describe it. They love you unconditionally, despite whatever you do, whatever you say. You're the queen in their eyes, and sometimes, when you look for something elsewhere, let's say your husband doesn't do something that he used to do anymore, all of a sudden, all your attention, all your desires, or all your views are focused on this. Oh, he's not going to pay attention to me? Guess what? You know what? Forget him. I'm going to take care of my kids. That's usually what people do. And I'm not even going to lie. I do it too. I do. Because some days we get in an argument or whatever it may be. I say, you know what? Forget him. Let me wake up. Let me take care of my kids. I'm a good mother, and I will continue to be a good mother. And what I am not focusing on, what is the fault that I'm accepting, is the fact that if I focus as much on my relationship that I do on being a mother, I feel like my relationship would be on a different level than what it is right now. I'm being completely honest, and I feel like a lot of people do that as well. And I just want to put it out there that sometimes us as wives and mothers, we don't balance it properly. We always give one more attention than the other, not thinking of how it's affecting the one that we're not giving that attention
to. Okay, so Jean, what do you say about not providing that love, attention, affection to your wife?
Okay, so if I could use a metaphor,
speak on it.
Basically, relationship to me is like a spice rack. You know, I'm much more bored at heart. I love to cook. You know, so many times when you realize, you know, not all flavors belong together. You know, sometimes you know, there's some foods that you could get away with it, but not every food. You know, just certain ways where, you know, when we go back to number one, you know, the way how you used to present my food, how you used to make my food, you know, the thought process that went into it, you know, the amount of, you know, love, the amount of salt, the amount of sugar, whatever it may be, you know. Now, in so many ways, now it's just like, now it's just been watered down because, you know, you don't want to give that full flavor, you know? So most of the time, I feel like I know I have some faults, but I still manage to, you know, rectify my wrongs and try to move on to the next thing. One thing that I could advise people, certain ways when we get to, like, you know, a very low portion, a low moment in our lives, you know, always close the door. You know, most of the time, you know, once you close the door, at least, you know, it gives a sense
of the bedroom door.
No, meaning like, you know, when you're having a fight or when you're having a disagreement, you know, always seem to have like a bit of a closure, you know. Mm. But when you leave the doors, you know, you know, so it allows the enemy to, you know, reopen the door, you know. But I know it's very hard, you know, sometimes you could sit here and say, okay, yeah, I forgive you. Yeah, I accept, I admit it and stuff like. Then later on, you bring back the same thing that we suppose, you know, maybe I guess we agreed on it, but I guess you never accepted it. So, you know, most of the time, you know, it's just reoccurrence, rebuild, you know, restructuring, you know, so many times when you realize the next day or a couple hours later, hey, what was we fighting about? Most of the time, it just be like something that was brewed up from, probably a couple of days ago of like, hey, I forgot to leave the seat down or something, or she forgot to, put toilet paper, because she know I like a full roll, when I use the bathroom, that type of thing, something like that,
Marie, what is an advice that your parent gave you before and after getting married that you would like to share with everyone?
As one advice I could say that a lot of people gave me right before I got married was that whatever happens between you and your husband, and when Jim was talking about closed doors, is make sure it happens behind closed doors, and make sure you take care of your business that way. Don't wash your dirty laundry in public, stuff like that, because it's important. Because what could happen is if you're having a situation with your spouse, etc., you don't want outside influences to kind of cloud your judgment or come into whatever it is that's going on in your relationship. To make sure that whatever you're doing, make sure you do it behind closed doors. That's one advice that I can say that is on the top of the list.
Right. Manwaj, are you on?
Yes, I am.
What is one advice that you received from your parent before or after getting married?
I would not say from anybody in general. It's basically what my wife just said. It's like I said, whatever happened, and it's once you married your wife, and you're not married a family. Although a family might have something to do with your future together, but you do not marry the family. She doesn't marry your family. Anything that happens stays between you. Anything that needs to work, you guys need to sit down and figure it out. That's basically what I'm from one of my good friends. He was telling me, listen, something happened with you and your wife. If you guys cannot talk about it at the moment, let's say an hour, 2 hours later, whenever you guys felt like it's the right time to talk about it, it's okay to, sit down and figure it out. And it's always good to talk to each other, and do not ever let the night pass while you both still mad at each other. Don't ever go to sleep with you both mad at each other, basically.
Right. Darius, same question. What is something that you have, what advice did your parent give you before or after getting married?
Basically, don't go to sleep mad. Always basically when marrying and all that stuff, keep y'all, whatever y'all going through, keep it between y'all. And one more thing is always played in my mind what my mom always said to me during the night is it's cheaper to keep her.
Oh. Okay.
Cheaper to keep her.
That's one of those are the 3 things my mom said.
Okay, cheaper to keep her. Okay. Cherline, same question. What is an advice that your parent gave you before or after you got married?
Like Marie said, the one advice my mom says is when you get in a fight, well, not even a fight, any discussion or anything that's going on that you both you do not agree on, just focusing on the fact that don't speak when you're angry. This is the one thing I do a lot. Some people say it's because I'm an Aquarius, I go for the jugular all the time. But it's do not speak when you're angry, because you say things you can't take back. You say things that you can't. Apologizing for it is not going to change it. Apologizing for it is not going to make a difference. And also the fact that if you get in any form of argument, disagreement, or whatever it is, and you bring other people from the outside in, they're going to make the argument bigger than what it really is. Let's say he said to me, you're lazy, or not even just that. He says to me, why didn't you clean the dishes? Somebody be like, oh my God, so he's calling you lazy. Oh my gosh, so he's trying to say you know how to wash dishes. And just simple question like this, other people add into it, then you start seeing it a lot bigger than it really is, when you could have just ended it and speak about it and talk and finish it. So those are the two big advice my mother says. Me specifically, because I'm crazy, and she tells me not to speak when I'm angry, and also not to add other people into my problems, my disagreements in my relationship.
Okay. Jean and Darius, this question goes to you, especially Jean. So why is it important to you to get married? Why was it so important for you to get married? Because back in the day, both you guys was whores. So why was it important to get married?
You said that.
At one point when you take a long walk and you look back of how life was, how life was so, cruel, and how you gave back the same amount that life gave back to you. When you realize at a point in your life you became at a standstill. You started to reflect on yourself on what exactly was here. What was the purpose of me being here? What was the reason of me being created? I know a lot of people, especially being a young black male, we got so many devils out, the devils that's looking in, the devils that's within, the devils that's lurking, your friends, your families are part of the devils too, let's be real, and most of the time you come to a point where, there's a beginning and there should be an end. You shouldn't go through your whole life knowing, where you're gonna lay your head at. Eventually you start to be at a point where you become lost, and that's not a pretty feeling. That should never be a feeling where nobody had to go through and endure. And and luckily, I made the right, I came up with the decision and just said, you know what, I need to get my life and do what is necessary, not only for myself, but for my life. Because, just like as, current day, Black Lives Matter, my lives matter too, and that's point blank.
Darius, why was it important to you to get married?
Well, that was always a vision for me when I was young. Basically, that's the stuff that I did when I was young. It did not make me a whore. Basically, it's a learning experience. I just had learning experiences. That's it, and I learned. I learned from them, and now I'm married to you.
Congratulations. We have a question. Felicia Polo asks, how do you guys actively do what do you guys actively do to make time for each other with your work schedule and children? Darius, if you could go ahead and answer this question. What do you do to actively make time for your children, your work schedule, and your wife?
For my children, I try to get as much outside time with them since this disease is taking over. I've been trying to get as much time as I can with them. With my wife, basically, I just have to honestly wait for all my kids to go to sleep to have that time with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't sleep like that, so.
No, they don't. Your son is a terror. Jean, what do you do to make time for yourself, for your wife and your kids?
Well, as the kid standpoint, I'm always around. Although I don't get the credit that I usually get, I'm usually more with them than the wife is, although, it's always Mother's Day, no Father's Day, that type of thing. But usually, most of the time, my whole handprints is all on them, whatever I need to do. If I need to spend more time, I have so much PTOs, so much days, that I could use. And we sit down and say, hey, where would we want to go? Now, I would say in the past couple of years, basically, it's just been more focusing on upgrading her, handling whatever needed to be handled in the house so she could worry about school, because education is important. And at the same time, she needs to, be successful at it. I know at times, it comes to a point where, she gets a little stressed when she goes from being a full-time worker and she comes home to try to be a full-time mom. Sometimes, you be left out of full-time. So in so many ways, there's just a whole bunch of balancing issues at times. But I try to do whatever that's necessary to make sure that everybody's taken care of.
So it sounds like you're saying Cherline doesn't appreciate you. That's what I'm hearing. Cherline, would you like to say something about this?
No, it has nothing to do with appreciation. I know most of the time when they look at, the housework or that type of thing, they always label it as a female thing. Mm-hmm. I love my kids. I love my wife. I would do whatever necessary to do it. It's not, the chores of the laundry is a wife thing, working, it's a man thing, we all have to contribute however we got to do.
Okay. What he was saying, he's right. He spends a lot of time with the kids that I do, specifically because I work full time and I went to school full time. So I would leave the house early in the morning and come back late at night. Half the time they're still asleep. They're asleep when I leave, they're asleep when I come back home. So he literally had to step in and be the father and the mother. I didn't have class every single day, but I had class 5 days a week. So during those 5 days a week, he technically had to do what he needed to do. And whether or not he's saying that he didn't feel appreciated, he was appreciated. I appreciate him. I'm gonna be honest with myself. I could do better to show him that I appreciate him, but he is appreciated. But our relationship is what it is. We love each other. We love our children. We do our best to communicate. We can do better at the communication area. We can do better at appreciating one another. There's always room for improvement in every single relationship. And as far as our relationship goes, of course, there's a lot of room for improvement.
And I just want to say, I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off, Mary, but I just want to say, I don't say as much neither, but I appreciate my wife too. I just realized I think it was yesterday, she's more with the kids than I am at that. But yesterday she did laundry, and my job is to basically, she didn't do it at Felicia's house, but my job is literally to bring the bags upstairs. They heavy bags. Usually when I go to laundry, I'm taking 4 bags. I'm bringing all 4 bags by myself. Bob just has to unfold. But yesterday day before yesterday I seen something like really cool just about her. She didn't ask me for help. She didn't say, Darius, I need you to I need you to come downstairs to bring the bags. But I seen her literally by herself sweating, pouring, and we got a lot of steps. Sweat pouring. She went downstairs, grabbed both of the bags and brought it upstairs. And being here with Amelia and Amari, yes, I do get the calls at work and Darius, you're not doing too much. But I'm at work, so. But I just wanted to say, basically, I appreciate you.
Thank you. If it ain't diamonds, it ain't mine.
All right, let me mute it.
Okay. Thank you. Sarah got a question. Marie, do you? Okay, no, Marie. What is a more important thing you enjoy about being in a marriage?
That's for me?
Yeah.
The most important thing that I enjoy about my marriage, I would say, is that I get to see all the different characters of my husband. I get to see all the different characters up front and personal. Basically, he's a very plain-faced guy. When you meet him, he has a very straight face. But in the time that we've been married, growing to know each other, I basically got to see all the different layers of him, all the different emotions, all the different sides of him. It brings everything into completion. The things he does to make me laugh, the things he does to make me feel appreciated, comforting, all these different kind of aspects, which basically is helping us evolve in our relationship and making me more appreciative of who he is as a person in my life ever since we've been together.
Okay. Darius, what is something that you learned while being in quarantine with each other?
Basically, respecting each other. Basically, I said, like, respecting each other. With more time together, you learn how you just learn more stuff about them, and you just learn to respect them, because in this time being in the house together for that long, it can cause a lot of problems. But with us, it haven't been problems, so everything's been good. That's what I'm learning.
Thank you, Dad. So we are going towards the end. We are coming towards the end, and I just want to put my info on everyone. So being in a relationship with each other, mental health always have an impact on something. Because like Cherline said earlier, if you do not do self-care because you're so focused on being in your marriage and focusing on the kids, and you're not even doing anything for yourself, it does mess up your mental health. As I spoke in the beginning, when you just have a baby, you're so focused on the baby. Some people fall into postpartum that they're not even thinking of themselves, and they become isolated, and they start dealing with a deeper depression. Mental health does play a huge impact in a relationship when you don't have that support system. Being in a marriage is one of the greatest support systems you will have. Why? Because you have a partner there with you 24/7, 7 days out of the week. There's someone with you. So you have a support system. How you use that support system is between you and your husband. Now, with the support system that you have with your husband, it comes with the kids. So as your teammate, that's your partner, your teammate, your best friend, all the above, that's your ride or die, your left, your right hand man, is your husband. That's who it is, your husband. So making sure that you find each other, you appreciate each other, you show the affection, you show the intention, but as you speak the words, it's important to show the action of it, because there's nothing worse than having a husband and a wife who's suffering depression, and your wife is sitting right next to you, or your husband is sitting right next to you. That is the worst, because you have a partner, support system. My advice to everyone and anyone is to use that support system. I'm pretty sure, I am 100% sure, you will not get married to someone that you do not feel, unless you was forced, that's different, but you will not get into a marriage where you don't feel safe, you don't feel protected. And if you do feel like that, that is much more a bigger discussion, and you should definitely get the system that you need if you have those situation, if you have that situation current. And I like to thank my panel for helping and answering these questions. to help others who are newlyweds and who's dealing with children, who's working in a hospital and they have to come home and they have to figure out how they, how can they interact with their kids, and they can't because they came from the hospital and COVID's around, and your quarantines, how you can provide support to the husband. It's a lot going on where me thinking about it right now, I'm messing up my own mental health. So thank you so much for everyone who tuned in to listen to these questions. Hopefully these questions are able to help you, the newlyweds, those who are parents, who are struggling every day, because every day is still a struggle. Thank you.
Just to add a few, I'm so sorry. I'm going to pray it out. Lord, thank you everyone on the panel. Please remember to share this live. You can still ask questions. We will follow it. And our next panel right now is scheduled for July 25th. And it will be focusing on the current topic of racial and social injustice. We have a great panel, great team on this panel. So you won't want to miss it. Also, please do continue to support us any form or shape that you'd like to support us. We do have our 9th annual Back to School coming up in August as well. So we love your support. Visit our website. You'll see the link of anyhow you can support us. Our website, I'll put in the link of this as well. So thank you to everyone who's watching, to everyone who's sharing. Please continue to support us and keep posting your questions and your comments as well. So let's bow our heads. I'm just going to pray this out real quick. Father God, we thank you for this panel. We thank you for everyone who's joined this panel. We thank you for everyone that you allowed to be here. We thank you that even though a lot of the people on this panel right now were not originally the people that were supposed to be on the panel, but we thank you that you made it, that these people are the people that you've chosen to be on this panel. So we thank you for that. And we ask that you continue to bless and keep each and every one of us and our families and everyone who's watching. In Jesus' name we pray.